If you're over 50 and you've been searching for side hustles because money feels tighter or because you just don't want to feel finished yet, you're in exactly the right place. And yes, I'm going to use the phrase side hustle because that's what everybody's looking for. It's like that's the sign on the hot dog stand. Everybody is hungry. But I'm not here to give you a plain hot dog. I want to show you today how you add the ketchup, the mustard, whatever you want. And since we're in Arizona, maybe even what we call a Sonoran hot dog here with bacon and pinto beans, the whole thing. They don't humiliate you, they don't make you feel less, and they don't make you feel like you're starting over from scratch. It's the kind that fits your energy, your season of life, and what you already know. That's the most important thing. Hi, I'm Tina and I'm 75, and I didn't start online until my 50s. And even now, I'm still refining what really works. So I'm not talking at you from some perfect, lofty mountaintop of knowledge. I'm walking this with you. Today, I'm going to share with you real side hustle ideas for people in their 50s, their 60s, their 70s, and beyond. Some are simple, some are from home, some use a computer, and some don't. A couple of them can change the whole game if you want something that grows beyond trading hours for dollars, but actually becomes a really great business for you. Whether you're already employed somewhere, whether you're retiring, whether you're already retired, whether you have challenges that keep you from being able to get a regular job, or you're just really fed up with the whole regular job thing, try applying for a job when you're past 45. A lot of times you're just going to get overlooked. And so you don't need all of these ideas. You just need one that fits, one that feels right for you. Now, this is about money, yes, but it's also about dignity, it's about choice, and it's about not being done. So think about this. Could even $500 a month make a difference for you? Can it change how you breathe, the weight that you might be feeling on your shoulders? It can be groceries, it could be gas for the car, it could be medicines that you need, or just not feeling so squeezed, giving that little bit of space. Now, a lot of these you don't have to leave home, you don't have to commute, you certainly don't have to buy a new wardrobe. And just for an example, I run my entire business from this is a spare bedroom in our house. That's my home office. But if you do want to get out and just be with people, if that's your thing, that you love that social interaction, there's some beautiful options here for that too. Now, before we go any further, before we get started on this, for anything that feels confusing or overwhelming, you don't have to figure this out by yourself anymore. I'm sure you've been hearing about AI and ChatGPT, and so I think of ChatGPT as your digital grandchild. You know how you might go to that younger member of the family that seems to find it so easy to do anything with a computer or a phone or any of those things? So ChatGPT can be like that for you. All you have to do is talk to it. That's it. You don't have to understand how it works. You stay the wise one, and it just helps you organize your thoughts, do a little research, or explore an idea. So, as I go through these side hustle ideas for you for how you can start making some money, whether you're past 50, 60, 70, or beyond, I'm going to divide it into some categories that are some of the more lower tech ones, some that have a little more tech, and then on each one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what the idea is. I'm going to give you a typical range of what you might make. I can't guarantee anything for anybody. It depends where you live and your initiatives and all of that, all of that. But I'm also going to tell you how you could do what's called analog research, and that's just good old pen and paper or on the phone or talking to people, just the old-fashioned way, so to speak. The analog way is what I'll call it. And I'm going to tell you the AI way that you can speed that up a little bit. And for our purposes, that's probably ChatGPT. Maybe you're already using a different AI like Gemini or Claude. That's fine. It'll work for any of those. I'm partial to ChatGPT, so I'll refer to that along the way. Okay, so ready? Let's start with category one, low tech, local, immediate. This is the kind of stuff that I could start this next week ideas. Okay, so you can get going right away to start bringing in some money. So number one, pet sitting, dog walking, anything in that range. And maybe it'll be for a cat We happen to have 3 dogs, so I'm going to naturally gravitate towards that. The typical, what you might make per day could be anywhere from $25 to $75 a day, or $20 to $30 a visit. Now, again, these aren't carved in stone. I'm not promising that's what you'll make. I'm just giving you some general ideas to help get the creativity going, and also the inspiration, hopefully, for you as well, but also just being realistic about it. So the analog research, your paper and pen type research, ask neighbors, check with Rover, check with other online dog sitting or dog boarding places. So to do a little bit of research about what can I charge? What's the going rate? So when I'm talking about the research, it's to get the lay of the land. What's the demand for it? What are people making for that type of thing? The AI version is a really simple question you could ask ChatGPT or any other AI. What are typical pet sitting rates in my city? So fill in your town. I'm in Tucson, so it'd be, what are typical pet sitting rates in Tucson, Arizona, wherever you might be. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, house sitting. Typical is anywhere from $50 to $100 a day to take care of somebody else's house while they're not there, and you just stay there. Analog research is, you could look on the app Nextdoor, which most of us have in our communities. You can find that easily. Local Facebook groups, and just asking the old-fashioned way, also asking Google and see what you come up with. But here's the thing. Now, when you ask Google, you're going to come up with some kind of a compilation that's done with AI. So you're actually talking to AI that way too, because that's the direction all these things are going. But the direct AI version, you could speak or write in, what do house sitters charge in Arizona? I'm just using my own state as an example. What do house sitters charge in? Fill in wherever you are. Number three, senior companion helper. Typical range on this is anywhere from $20 to $35 an hour, I'd say. Analog is ask at senior centers, make a few phone calls. Perhaps you have an organization that's helping the elderly or for senior citizens. Sometimes that could just be as simple as just keeping someone company, just going and sitting with them and having a conversation. Maybe you're going to fix a light lunch or something like that. Could be very simple and could really make a difference for someone. The AI version is, what is the average rate for companion care? And you might want to get more specific of what is the average rate for senior citizen companion care. So the more specific you can get with that AI question, the more specific answer you're going to get. Number four, decluttering, downsizing helper. We're going to go all Maria Kondo here for someone. Typical range anywhere from $30 to $75 an hour. Analog version is search professional organizer near me, or just look up ads for professional organizers. You might find those on Nextdoor. You might find those on Facebook Marketplace. You might find those on Craigslist. AI version, what do organizers charge in my area? And just go from there. And some of these might overlap a little, like a senior center, a senior organization might be able to put you on the track for that as well. There's people who, when someone passes away, they just don't have anyone to help them organize what's still in the house or what they need to do to clean out a garage. You might be able to specialize in just garage cleanup, for example. Oh my gosh, our garage, it's a mess. We have so much stuff. You might check with estate sale places. They might be able to help you with that as well. Number five, yard care. On a light version, light help, it could be here in Arizona, it's not so much like lawn mowing and things like that. It's more pulling weeds, or maybe you're going to come a certain time of the year and fertilize the plants. Maybe you're going to help someone create a container garden. Maybe you're going to plant a vegetable garden for them. There's a lot of different things that could encompass yard care or light help on a piece of property. Typical range could be anywhere from $25 to $50 an hour. And the analog version, look at local flyers and ads. Look what other people are advertising. You see a truck going down the street with a sign on the side with a phone number on it, call it and inquire about what their rates are. The AI version, what do people charge for yard cleanup? Now, again, the more specific thing would always be to add your area, because it could be very different from a small town in Iowa to San Francisco Bay Area, for example, as far as what are people charging. Number six, house cleaning. And this could be anywhere from $30 to $60 an hour. The analog version, ask 3 cleaners. There's a rule of 3 with this. So if you inquire from 3 different people offering that service in your area, maybe you're going to average out and take the middle ground. So you're not the cheapest, but you're not the most expensive either. And I know some of these take more physical energy. You might not want to do that. You can decide what would work for you. And if you have the energy and if you just enjoy cleaning, if it makes you feel good to see that kitchen get cleaned up, go for it. The AI version would be the average rate for house cleaning in my area. What I want to add here is these things aren't small jobs. These are trusted jobs. These are the kind of jobs people really need help with. And the more that they feel they can trust you, that they have someone reliable, that they have faith in you to be in their home, a lot of people want someone that will take care of things for them like this. Okay, category 2. Now we're going to turn hobbies to cash. And so number 7 is craft fairs and RV park markets and local swap meets, for example. Now, the typical range is you can make anywhere from $50 to $500 a day and everything in between. And I'm going to tell you a little story here because my husband Ron and I did this. We used to do a lot more things with RV parks. We started doing craft shows. The thing about those is you pay a small amount to have a table. You just bring all your stuff, whatever it is you're selling, and you just go and show up during the time of the craft show, do your thing, take everything home afterwards, and whatever cash you got from having some sales. We thought it was fun. Here where we are in Arizona, there's a lot of snowbirds that come here in the winter. We've lived in Yuma, we've lived in Tucson. Both of those places have a lot of RV parks that are heavily populated in the winter. And you don't have to necessarily make the things yourself at a craft show. If you look into wholesaling and you buy a product at a wholesale price, you decide what your profit margin is going to be, you mark that up, and you sell it. And you never had to make anything. We sold hand-painted denim shirts. We sold color-changing mugs. I've got lots of stories about that. And as a matter of fact, here's another thing. If you've been in the military or have access to any kind of military installation, they have their own stores, basically, the commissary, and they often have outside vendors that come in and set up a table and sell stuff there. And so we had some military-related things that we sold. And I'll tell you, there's going to be more of a story about this one day. But just from doing that, we were at Fort Myer, right outside Washington, D.C., where Arlington Cemetery is. And after we'd been selling our product there for a few days, the person in charge of all that came over to us and said, "How would you like to sell inside the Pentagon?" And that's what we did. And so I'll tell you that another time. But we ended up several times being invited to go and set up shop inside the Pentagon and basically stayed for a couple of weeks. It was like running a small store inside the Pentagon. So you never know where these things can lead, and you could make very good money doing some of these things. Number 8. Now, I'm not an attorney. When I say anything to do with baking or specialty foods, you will have to check in your area what is required. Do you need special licensing? Do you need any rider on your insurance? I'm not the legal advisor here. But the thing is, it isn't necessarily that you could be selling that at a craft show or a special kind of little local show, but you also could teach somebody else how to make whatever the thing is that you make. Maybe you're going to give pie baking lessons. Maybe you're going to teach someone how to make cookies, this kind of thing. So typical could be anywhere from $5 to $10 an item, probably more. When we lived in Yuma, there was a whole community of Mennonite women that were there just for the winter, that traveled from someplace in the Midwest, and they made the most amazing pies, absolutely fantastic pies. And they had a very booming business with people ordering pies. And the analog way to research this would be to walk a local market, a farmer's market, for example, or any kind of specialty show like the craft shows or the special little shows that might be set up just for a weekend. Walk through them, see what they have. Maybe you're going to get a sample. Maybe you're going to find out what they're charging. We've seen people selling beef jerky on stands on the side of the road. We've seen people selling local honey. So there's a lot of different things that you could do with any of that. And again, you'll have to check in your own area for what the requirements are, certifications, licensing, any of those things. The AI way would be what sells best at small crafts fairs, or what food items sells best at small crafts fairs in fill in the blank. Adding that specificity of where you are, what area you're talking about, could be a whole lot different in Vermont than it is in Washington State, for example. And so I would definitely check on that. Number 9, craft or art lessons. You could make anything from $20 to $50 a student for a series of crafting lessons. And a lot of people are really getting into what are called the granny hobbies, that type of thing, like crochet and knitting. It's very popular with younger folks right now to be learning some of these things. Someone that does my hair said she just likes to watch junk television and crochet. And I was so surprised when she said she crocheted. And I said, what do you make? And she said, I made myself a pair of shorts. And she crocheted a pair of shorts after seeing something on YouTube. And so you never know who might be interested in something like that you just take for granted, a skill that you have. The analog way is your local library, your community center, be checking into, are there senior centers? Are there classes? I can give you an example of someone that came to me some years ago. She came into my world because she wanted to learn copywriting. She wanted to learn how to write marketing copy for clients. But as it happened, she ended up sharing with me that she was going through a pretty tough time because her husband had passed away unexpectedly as they were getting ready to retire from the Washington, D.C. area. They were going to move to a coastal area in Florida and had really been looking forward to it for years. And sadly, he passed away. And so she started painting pictures as an outlet for herself. And then she started volunteering and she started teaching other people to paint. And she found that it was so relaxing that when she just happened to mention it to me, I was like, maybe you ought to think about using the skills that you're getting for marketing and messaging to sell classes in painting. And that's exactly what she did. She started having painting programs. I know someone else that does all of her painting lessons online. She doesn't see anybody in person, and she teaches people how to paint through online classes. So the analog way, local library, community center, senior center, maybe an RV park that has a seasonal aspect of this where they want to have classes for the people that are staying there for the season. The AI research, it would be, how can I teach my craft locally? How can I teach people how to paint in Yakima, Washington, wherever you might be? That's a kind of a small town. And just see what you get. And by the way, my painting client, the one that turned towards painting, ended up that she also paints for kind of the salt life of Central Florida, being at the beach kind of stuff. She paints big pieces of driftwood. She paints fun sayings that people hang in their beach cottages. She started creating things like that she was selling as well and selling them in local shops. So lots of different ways you could go with this. Number 10. Vintage flipping. People like us, people over 50, 60, 70, there's a lot of things that we look at and say, I remember having something like this when I was a kid, but I'll tell you, now it's vintage. It just is. And there's great interest in these things. So typical could be making anywhere from $100 to $400 an item. You find some cool stuff. Here's their analog way: thrift stores, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, and look at the sold listings and see what things sold for. Could also be how you might be finding some of these things to sell. So there's kind of two sides to that. And the AI version would be, what vintage items sell best online I would say in 2026. And for people over a certain age or whatever, you could specialize in children's items. You could specialize in household items. You could specialize in kitchenware. Just the other day, we were at Goodwill and just rummaging around. I was actually looking for a little bud base. And I found these little tiny buildings, little cottagey things. And I just had a sense that these things are worth something. And I could only see a little bit because they were in wrapping inside a big Ziploc bag and they hadn't put it out yet. It was one of those bins where they were still getting ready to put stuff out on the shelf. So I started poking around and I could see a tag on the bottom of one. So I pointed my phone at it. And guess who I asked? I asked ChatGPT, what is this? Is this worth anything as far as collectible? It turns out, yes, it was. And the whole bag of these little places, I took a chance on it, and it ended up being 6 of these little villagey structures that are real small. And they were handmade in the 80s by someone famous from the UK. And I paid $9.97, I think, for the whole bag. And each one of them is worth anywhere from $30 to $60 or $70. I have a couple $100 worth of value in these little buildings that I got for $10. So when I have time, I'll do an eBay listing. I just bought them because I think they might be worth something. Maybe I'll just resell them. And so I'll probably just put them on eBay. And so that would be another way to sell the stuff. And that's number 10, vintage flipping. And probably the biggest thing with that is not to keep everything that you find. Find some really cool stuff. Oh my gosh. And I have a story about selling a vintage trailer. When I say $100 to $400 per item, years ago when we were in Yuma, Arizona, I like vintage stuff. I like vintage lamps. I like vintage trailers. And I spotted this vintage trailer in a storage unit parking lot, a travel trailer. They're called Spartans and they're very collectible. And they're from the 40s and 50s, something like that. So I saw this little one and it was just stored. Well, we ended up tracking down the owner, said, what about this trailer? If anybody wants to sell it, it's been sitting there for quite a while. We ended up buying it for $500. We had to put some cheap new tires on it just to have it towed to our home because the tires were all rotted out. We got it because we thought it would be really cool to restore this. We just didn't have time with what I was doing with my business and our traveling. So I ended up doing a listing on eBay where I basically told a story. I gave that trailer a personality. And if those wheels could talk, where she's been, I gave her a female personality and told the whole story, put it on eBay, sold it very quickly for $5,000, and we paid $500 for it. So you just never know where vintage flipping can take you. And they actually were from another state and they came to Arizona to get it. Vintage flipping, number 10. That brings us to category 3. Category 3 is helping and organizing from home. You don't have to go anywhere. You can do this completely without going anywhere. Number 11, digital photo organizing. Now, some of these might take a little bit of technical skill. Again, you have the ability to use something to help you do this. Typical could be anywhere from $30 to $60 an hour. And here's the thing. These are services that have huge emotional value that people are willing to pay for to preserve a story, to preserve a memory. And so what you're really selling here isn't just you have photos that are organized. You have memories that are preserved. You have family moments, special moments that have been saved and can be passed along through generations. Number 12, family memory book. Same thing, typical anywhere from $150 to $500 a project. This is the kind of legacy work that really it's hard to put a price tag on because someone just wants to have that. And there are services online that could help you if you wanted to actually make a book that you do by just gathering their digital photos. And this isn't a how to do all these things. These are just the ideas to help inspire you of what you might do with this. Maybe you've got a photography background, or maybe you like scrapbooking. You're going to put together something like that for someone else. Number 13, proofreading or resume help. Now, typical anywhere from $20 to $40 an hour. This is low stress, but high demand. If you just love reading and correcting, because you just can't stand seeing that misspelled word, that you could offer a proofreading service for someone else's writing. All you're doing is cleaning it up. Or if they need a resume, just do some online research. Or maybe you already know the best formats for resumes, help someone really get it straightened out. I was talking to someone one day and said, I just did that for free. I was just looking at my friend's resume and said, this makes you sound really old and I can make this better for you. And she did, but she didn't charge anything. And she probably could have charged $100 at least for doing that. Low stress, high demand, don't have to go anywhere if you don't want to. Number 14, genealogy research. This is also something people want to know their roots. They want to know where they came from. They want to know what the lineage is. And maybe they don't know anything about their ancestors. If you're handy at that, anywhere from $35 to $50 an hour to do genealogy research. And you may already be doing it. Maybe you're doing it for yourself, or maybe you've already done it for friends or family. Why not get paid for it? Now we're going to move into category 4, digital ownership. And this is my specialty. And these next two don't trade time for money in the same way. This creates an ongoing asset, something you continue to monetize that can grow and also has a timeless quality. You're not restricted by how old you are or where you live. You need an internet connection. You need a computer, a desktop or a laptop, and you need a phone, right? Number 15, create a simple digital product from what you already know. When I say digital product, that means you can look at it online, you can download it, you don't have to send anyone anything in the mail or anything like that. The typical price at the very low end could be anywhere from $17 to $47 for a simple digital product. Now consider at that price range, 17 to 47 and all points in between and beyond. But let's just look at that. One sale a day could be $500 a month at the low end, and as much as $1,400 a month at the higher end. One person a day saying, yes, I think I would like that. Hopefully this makes you go, what? Do people really do that? Yes, absolutely. I've been doing things like this for over 20 years. Absolutely. So a digital product from what you already know, whether that's business oriented, whether it's a hobby, whether it's a sport. I know someone that started off a very successful program with how to jump higher. So for people, especially for younger people playing basketball and sports like that, they wanted to be able to jump higher. And what I love about this is how really niche some of this stuff is, really specialized, and that there is an audience. And sometimes that narrow audience is even better because they're just so enthusiastic and they want everything they can get about how to jump higher, for example. Number 16, print on demand t-shirts. With this, you can use AI like ChatGPT, an online program like Canva, which is only about $12 a month and helps you design things. And just one example of a resource is Printify. And these are online services that will fulfill the order for you. They make it when someone orders it. That's why it's called print on demand. And they will print it up for you and send it out. And you don't have to handle it. You don't have to have inventory. You don't have to do shipping. You don't have to fulfill it. All you do is come up with a design, and you can do that by talking to AI now. We have such amazing images that can be created with just, for example, with ChatGPT, just by saying out loud what you're trying to create, and it will create an image. And that image can be put on a virtual t-shirt to show you what it would look like. And one of these companies can fulfill that for you. And you could be in business selling t-shirts from your home, nothing in the garage, no stacks of equipment, no special printers, no special design skills, except the ability to have an imagination and talk. And I'm not even going to guess what you could make with that. Easily $35 for a t-shirt, anywhere from $25 to $35. The actual fulfilling the order might be $10 or $12. So you build in what your profit margin is. They will ship it for you, but you're going to pay the shipping. So you do need to think about what's the price that's going to leave me a profit after you pay those things out. And you don't pay them until you have a sale. So you don't have to invest a bunch of money to get started or anything like that. Number 17, this is a fun one. Personalized songs or messages. You could use ChatGPT to help you come up with the words. Maybe you have a concept for a child's birthday or an anniversary or a special event like a wedding, and the names of the people. And then, for example, there's a program called Suno. It's only $10 a month for the paid level of it. And it makes amazing music. And you do not have to be a musician. You can just say, here's the words I want you to use, and here's the type of mood, the feeling I want to create. And it will start creating the music and even the voice singing it for you. And it's completely free of any kind of copyright issues or anything. You're creating it. You can use it. I've created my own music for things like YouTube videos. There's no problem with it getting through copyright, the RIGHT type of copyright, as far as licensing or anything like that. I haven't had any problem at all with YouTube. So this is something that's deeply emotional. It's giftable. It's unique. It's fun. You could charge anywhere from $10 to $100 and some dollars or more, depending on the event that it's for. Maybe you're going to do children's little songs and you're going to do them for $12 or something like that. Could do all of this from home. Could do it very quickly. You do not have to have one shred of musical ability to do it. If you can talk about the feeling you want to create, and when you hear the examples that are given to you by the AI and Suno that would be creating the music, if it resonates for you, if you feel something from it, if you just like it, use it, right? It doesn't take any more detailed experience than that. Just trust your own instincts. And this is something giftable and unique and something that would really be fun to do. In our grand finale, category 5, and this is related to the digital creation. Number 18, use YouTube as a client magnet. Now, this is creating a YouTube channel, not because you're going to wait it out to try and get paid for AdSense by having a whole lot of people that watch a video. This is something you can do with a small channel with small views of your video, because you're going to monetize it for yourself, not for fame, but for finding your people by the topic that you come up with, and that you can bring people into your YouTube world. And you could have a digital product that you link in your description of your video that people start to buy. So for example, one video on YouTube that brings in the right person who buys your $27 product is worth more than 10,000 random views. You could have 6,000 to 10,000 views, like you've worked really hard for a long time, and maybe you made less than $100 when YouTube pays out for the AdSense. Or you could make $27 a day by just having a very small handful of people who like your topic and decide they will buy your digital product. So much easier. And YouTube can filter those people for you. It's an amazing way to begin what can turn into an online business for you. Even if you're already working, even if you just want to work a few hours a week, even if you don't have a big need for a lot of extra money, but you could really enjoy, think it was fun. Maybe you're just going to save that money. Maybe it's going to help with something that, around the house that you need. There's a lot of different reasons we all need to make money, right? And that we're concerned about as we get older and retirement age, and maybe we're not fully prepared for that time of our life. And what if you could just have fun doing something and still make money with it? So the analog version of this, to ask yourself, what do people already ask me for help with? Is there something people on a very regular basis are asking you for help with? What could you talk about for an hour without getting tired of doing it or having trouble talking about it? What is just a natural flow? What could you talk about it every day? Could you talk about it for a few years? It should be something that you're not going to burn out on or get sick of, that you just love, whatever that topic is. I saw one the other day for a woman that loves to read vintage cookbooks. She just loves reading them. And so her YouTube is all about vintage recipes, what you can make that she finds in these old cookbooks, and then she makes them, and then she talks about it, right? She's just having fun doing it. And I'm sure she's probably making some money doing it too. What problems have you solved in your own life? What is something that you've overcome that you really know a lot about because you've walked the walk, you've walked through the fire with that, whatever it might be, and that you could share? I know someone that's a specialist in diabetes, and I talk to people all the time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you could really make something from this because so many other people need that knowledge that you have. The AI discovery would be, for example, I'm 65 and I've spent 30 years in finance. Help me find simple ways to make money from that without a boss. And I'm just making that up. That's not my background. But maybe you are a bookkeeper and maybe you want to teach people how they could have an online service as a bookkeeper, or maybe you want to do bookkeeping lightly for other online businesses, entrepreneurs. That's how I've hired any of my accountants at this point. Rarely have I been in a situation where I see them. It's all been online. Okay. So for the analog pricing on something like this, the rule of three is what I said earlier. Find 3 people who are doing the thing that you're thinking about doing and average it out. Just start there. And especially if you're working online with YouTube or something like that, it's a more global market. AI pricing, I want to charge fairly for fill in the blank. What is a typical range? And just ask ChatGPT, your digital grandkid, to help you with that. So I hope you find these helpful, these side hustles. And you don't need all 18, you just need one. And I'm just wondering if one of these made your chest feel a little lighter, made it feel like you could breathe a little easier, or you were sitting up a little straighter, or you felt that little fire inside, which is how I felt when I read something about copywriting over 20 years ago, and it lit me up. That's your clue. That's your clue to pay attention to. So then maybe you're going, okay, but Tina, then what? How do I actually turn this into something that pays me? What are the mechanics of it? How do I actually put that together? I'm creating something simple that's going to walk you through that step by step. Very simple, nothing complicated, just clarity. For now, I'm just curious. Did any of these feel good to you? Or are you already doing something? Maybe another thing that I hadn't even thought of that's working for you, and it could be helpful to somebody else. There's plenty for everyone. There really is. And so we don't have to hold things tightly to our chests and think, oh, I can't possibly share that. And so if there's one that resonated for you or something else you're already doing, or maybe you're doing one of these things, I would love to hear in the comments and just encourage you. And we encourage each other because together we rise. Because you know what? We're not done yet. And it really is never too late. Thanks for being here today. Hope this was helpful to you. This is Tina Lorenz, and I will be talking to you again soon. Bye for now.